back to Ferris Sports Update. Time to check with women's basketball, and joined by the head coach of the Ferris State Bulldogs, Kurt Westendorp. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Obviously, I know nice to be back at home this past weekend, kind of like the men's team. After playing 3 straight on the road, just to be back in front of the home fans was kind of nice this past weekend.
Yeah, it was great. Nice to not be on the bus for a little bit. You know, that previous week, 3 trips, there was a lot of time on the bus for bus legs. Luckily, we were able to get a win to close out that stretch. Being back at home, it was nice to have a few more days to prepare, a few more days to, just get our team back to ready to do what we do best. So I felt like we played 2 fairly decent games, but it was just nice to be in front of the home fans again.
Obviously, taking on 2 close West Michigan opponents, Davenport and Grand Rapids. Short trips for both of those teams, but nice to bring in some fans with the close proximity of the 2 teams.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent, like both Thursday and Saturday. Obviously, Saturday we had, close to 1,500 people there for our game. I know for the guys' game, well over 2,000 people in that gym. It was excellent. But Thursday night as well, we had a lot of Northern Michigan players in that game, so we had a good crowd for that one. It's just always nice when we can showcase our teams, in front of those local fans, because both Davenport and Grand Valley bring a lot of people into that gym. It's great for recruiting, for recruits to see what kind of an atmosphere they can play in if they come to Ferris State. So it's just all in all a very good weekend for us to be back home.
As we go to the highlights, we'll start with Thursday's game against Davenport. Second time around the GLIAC here as you take on the Panthers, and a team that's a little bit better than the record might indicate.
Well, definitely are. Like, I felt like we knew we had to jump on them early. We ran our opening tip play. We felt like we had a good situation early on, so it's always nice to be up 4-0 or 2-0 right 4 seconds into the ball game. But they're a tough matchup for a lot of teams. They got 2 really good guards. You see Scout Nelson moving the ball right there to J.C. Walker knocking down a shot. They play super tough. They're 2 matchups for us that it's not the best for us. So they gave us a good effort for most of both of the games that we played them.
Obviously, led here in this game by Adrian Anderson, who paced you in scoring after coming off a great defensive performance at Wayne State, showing that she can really do it on both ends of the floor.
Oh, she absolutely can. So she's not only gets it done scoring the ball with putting the ball in the basket, but she just moves the ball. Right here, you see her making the right play, letting Chloe reestablish, getting the ball back inside. She's kind of, I don't think she's quite up to being our leader in assists, but she's very, very close, both her and Mallory McCartney. But she's just that spitfire, that engine that just drives us, that when she really gets going, she plays at a pace that everyone else has to keep up with. So I felt like she had 2 excellent games, but especially here to establish herself early in the matchup against Davenport, to give us that lead that you see there here that we had at halftime. It was nice to have a little bit of that cushion going into the second half.
The second half, obviously, you got some great contributions off the bench, players off the bench that really come in and gave you a spark off the bench in this game.
Yeah, I felt like our bench did a great job of giving us just really good energy. Rebounding is one of those areas that we believe that's an energy type play. The team that rebounds the ball the best is that team that is playing the hardest. And both of these were games where we ended up on the positive side on the rebounding edge. Against Davenport, it took us a little bit to get going with it, but then we really started dominating them. Ellie Dykstra always does a great job rebounding off the bench. Maya Hiram's put up some big rebounding numbers. Deshauna Day, one of our leading guard subs, is always kind of sticking her nose in there to rebound the basketball. So we just did a nice job. It kind of spurs our aggression as we go through, and it was nice to get this win again. Kind of a weird, quirky thing. Beat them 72-55 at their place, and we beat them again 72-55 at our place. So I guess that shows a little bit of consistency.
Obviously, we saw right at the end in that last highlight some great ball movement. One thing your team has done really well is shared the basketball here in the recent stretch.
I feel like that's been one of our strengths the entire year. I feel like we don't really have players that play selfishly. I feel like that ball really finds the open man. We're one of the teams, I think we're either leading the league in assists or we're right up there, and definitely when it comes to assist turnover. We got some really talented players and they trust each other, and we're playing in a system that allows for that ball to be shared. So they really did a nice job of doing it.
Came back on Saturday against Grand Valley State, obviously a big game in terms of the GLIAC, and a team that's ranked 8th in the country for a reason.
Yeah, it's a huge rivalry game for us. Our girls definitely have this one circled on the calendar. It was nice to get the Davenport win out of the way so that we were able to move on to this one. We showed up and we rebounded the heck out of the basketball. I felt like we played with a ton of energy. Grand Valley holds teams to 48 points, 48 points a game. That's one of the best in the entire country, because they really don't have a weak link on the defensive end of the court. But we were able to play with a lot of pace, a lot of energy. Chloe Idoni gave us a heck of a game. We didn't have her the first time we played against them, and that kind of gave us some inside-outside balance. But we did a nice job to get up to, I believe we got 65 or 68 points, scoring about 20 points more than what they usually give up. But they're just the number 8 team in the country for more than just their defense. Offensively, they had a nice plan. They attacked us really well, and they had some kids step up and hit shots too.
Obviously, as in any game, you face some adversity, some foul trouble here in the first half that really kind of changed some of the rotations and some of your lineups.
Yeah, that first half was definitely a unique one. With Zoe Anderson picking up 3 early and Ellie Dykstra picking up 2 early. We had to play some people out of position a bit. We really struggled defensively at the end of that half. Had to play a little bit of zone with Chloe had to, but she still had to stay in the game. Luckily we were able to keep the game close enough during that stretch that it gave us a chance in the second half, which we played a decent second half, cut it down several times, but just weren't really able to get enough consecutive stops for these offensive runs to turn into a 8-0 run or a 10-0 run. They were all little 8-6 spurts or 6-4 spurts, not enough to overcome that halftime deficit.
Obviously, as you mentioned right there, your kids continued to battle to the end, had some opportunities, and once you get down in a game like this against a team like that, sometimes tough to get over the top.
It absolutely is. When you're playing a team that's like that, to get those consecutive stops in a row, to get it all the way back, they present so many different challenges because they got a lot of different people they can go to. Riley Bisbal had another decent game. Emily Spitzley's, an all-league player. We did a decent job on Drosty, who was one of their better players coming in. But they had some other players step up off the bench. They made some shots that typically they might not usually throw in that second half. They made a couple really, really tough ones where we played good defense. And just it's hard to overcome those things when you allow a team like that to get up to 75 points. We really said it was going to be the first team to 60, had the best chance to win, and it was early in the fourth quarter that they got to 61st, and we weren't very far behind it, but there's a tough team to overcome that big of a deficit.
Obviously this week, just one game at Lake Superior before you come back home on Monday night against Northwood, and maybe what's the message here going into this trip, knowing there's a lot of big games left here on the schedule?
We talked about trying to take every game remaining the second half of the year as a one-game season. So this week, with it only being one game on the calendar completely, all our focus is on Lake State. We played a very good game here against them the first time to get a really decisive win. But going up over the bridge, it's always difficult to go do that in their own gym. So that's where our focus is. We want to get our legs back under us a little bit with only having the one game, knowing that we'll have 3 games next week. Hopefully we can take care of their legs a little bit during practice. Go up over the bridge, take care of business, have a weekend where we can start preparing for Northwood, because we know that the games are getting less and less in the numbers. It means every single one has that equal importance, that we got to make sure that we're focused and playing our best basketball, because the conference tournament's not that far away.
Well, Coach, thanks for the time, and best of luck at Lake Superior on Thursday.
Thanks, Robert.
That'll do it for Ferris Sports Update. Reminder, you can follow all the action online, ferrisstatebulldogs.com. Have a great week.